Hi, and welcome back to the Volunteering Academy Open Talk. Today, join the lads Chris, Neil, Matt, and Richie as they discuss friendships, asking again, not knowing what to say, the weather, and just having a conversation based on trusting relationships. Enjoy!
Now, I do think myself, I'm more open for people to talk to now because of my awareness now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I wasn't 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So I can see that side. But I can't believe that I was going through life and quite well, we'd be going out with these lads maybe once, 2, 3 times a week. And I wasn't aware
Yeah, yeah.
that this was going on.
That's a really, really important point. So, like, that's why I was asking earlier on exactly what changed within it. So, the nature of awareness filters, doesn't it? It changes how you view the world. In fact, I would argue there's been times in my life when, with all the training I've done around mental health and insights, sometimes I wish I'd never bothered because sometimes it's like I cannot switch it off because I see it everywhere now I go. So I see and I hear it in people's words, the way they phrase things. That's some of the stuff I've been trained in. So it's like, okay, do you always want that? But fair enough. Okay, so I'd rather see it than not see it because I'd rather go around with not with blinkers on, but see the world as it is and how people are. And so there was a campaign once that was part of the sort of Good Time to Talk campaign, which was sort of ask twice, and part of it was like a boxing. They used a boxing element to it, didn't it as well? And so when they say why, I mean, there's a cultural issue there. What do we say? How are you doing? I'm fine, thanks. You know, the whole Bill Bailey thing, like, how are you doing? Oh, not too bad, all things considered, sort of thing. But that's so ask again. Well, someone you get to know them. You get to know them. You get to know what the little foibles are, the behaviours. Like if the head's down, you know what they're like. You know, if they go quiet. Well, I've noticed this about you. So the awareness gives you a bit more confidence, doesn't it? To actually, again, for me, it's very much about turning the mirror on people and going, look, I've noticed this about you. I've noticed this about you.
Yeah.
We're not always good at noticing those things, and I put my hand up all the time. It's like I experienced a lot of stress this year. I didn't always notice when it was really affecting me, making me ill. And so you need those connections around you who have the awareness to do it. And Neil. You know the work of the Samaritans, the stuff you've been
And I totally agree with what you're saying. It's that awareness and knowing what to say to somebody and getting their point. But I think what's also important to say is sometimes it can put people off talking if they see. If you walk past somebody and you see them bent over the fence and he's like that, and he's obviously pondering, "Oh, I'll take a white birth there," which a lot of people will do. And is that because they're scared of the situation he's in, or they don't know what to say?
I think it's that.
You don't know, but you don't have to have that deep conversation.
Yeah.
You don't have to. Why are you feeling like this? It's shit weather today, isn't it? Just
Yes,
have a conversation.
well,
It's just have a conversation. Little words. Samaritans had a thing. Well, small words, little words. Just use little words.
I go back to the work we do in the community, and it's just about having someone to talk to.
Yeah.
But with no necessarily end goal
Yeah.
as such. It's just showing people that we care,
Yeah.
we'll listen, and we're not after your deep, darkest thoughts. We're just somebody to talk to, and it's that relationship for me is key.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we do really well in the Volunteer Academy, the work we do. It's building relationships in the community so people feel comfortable and they feel like we're going to be there to actually help them. It's not just an organisation. It's not just somebody who has to do what they're doing. It's people with passion. It's people who want to help. So I think it's not just about talking. It's having that relationship. And understanding the person you're actually speaking to is empathetic with you. They do care what you're saying.
So just when you mention that, because some of this stuff talks about connection quite a lot.
Yeah.
So like friendships, good quality relationships, number of quality relationships you've got, friendships and so on. So again, aligned with your values, a lot of eye contact when you're chatting to people, really people that intensely listen to each other, remember the last conversation, they give a shit basically about. And so one thing I read recently in one of the books I'm on is the biggest predictor of how long you're going to live after 50 is how lonely you feel. It's essentially that, and we do not talk about this enough. We did a conference earlier on in the year, and I still haven't been able to pull up Paul to get the information together because I'm just wrestling with it, like where we're going to go with this basically, because it's such a big issue. But the over 50 thing, like I said, the biggest predictor of how long you're going to live is how loneliness and isolation. So and so the chemical that's related to that is oxytocin. That's what we build up as we have good quality connections, which requires voice and face to face is of the highest quality. So believe you me, we sat on the table now, all four of us, having this great conversation where we're perhaps learning and getting this insight is building oxytocin in our brains, which is making us feel more connected. We're all going to benefit from this today, just by doing it as well. And isn't that great? Do you know what I mean? Because I just, but how much of that have we lost? You know, and like you know, through the lockdowns and so on, and how much we struggle to build that back up. And that's what we need more and more of as well. But particularly as we get older, as well. So your question about like why don't I share that? Why don't I have those conversations? Is only a question that you know the answer to as well. Often the answer is usually related to some sort of a fear. Usually a fear of loss, like kind of, will this person still stay in touch with me if I reveal to them, you know, certain vulnerabilities or things that are concerning me? How will they judge me? And as Brené Brown always points out, you know, the best connections are the ones that you put when you sort of like, the best relationships are the ones that are based on the idea that you're willing to lose it all.
Yeah.
Because you're willing to put it all in as well.
Yeah.
And so you put it on the line, and of course by doing that, your relationships will evolve. Some people will drop out and so on, but you'll end up with a tight group, and you're very lucky if you had it from young age and you had that. That's fantastic, so good. But you'll end up with a tight group of people, maybe one person who is aligned with you, you know, fully understands you and trusts you, basically, and also will challenge you, you know, when they don't agree with you.
It's quite in relationships like that. I think I've got one like that, but we don't see each other that often.
But
as soon as you see each other,
you
just open up.
And
because I don't know whether it's because the trust is built
that's
over the years
exactly
or whatever, but you just can. And like you say, I might not see this lad for a year or so, then all of a sudden we go up a couple of pints, a couple of whiskies, next thing. Everything that's happened since the last time you talk comes out. That's what you want, don't you?
That's beautiful.
Sorry, Gabe, go on.
No, just very quick, because I think that one of the things I would say that I think is really important is that people want to open up. There's this thing, men don't want to talk, and it's like they don't feel they can, and it's that thing when people feel, and we've said that, not judged, and that it's safe to be vulnerable and open. I'll tell you all sorts, and a couple of things spring to mind. One is a lad I went to school with, not a kind of one-to-one personal friend, but you know, part of the group of lads play football. I mean, like you can make good lad, you know, and not seen him since school. So what's that? Over 30 years ago. So I'm in a Costa. I'm on my laptop. Oh yeah, you're all right, mate. You know, I seen the work you're doing, cause, you know, Facebook and what. I see the work you're doing. So anyway, within 5 minutes, he told me that he was bipolar, that he was diagnosed after we left school, and his wife and child don't know. And he told me within 5 minutes. And
you've got one of those faces or something.
But it is that people want to. We want. It's that thing, isn't it? We want to be seen and understood and known for who we are, and to be. No one wants to carry a burden on their own, but you feel you have to often. And there was one in one of my groups. It got to about it was a male only group, and it got to generally around the third session, people start to feel more comfortable in being able to kind of say so. I always say there's never an obligation to. It's not right. This week it's Childhood Week. Come on, let's hear it. But it's that you know, but you can and you won't be judged. And people start opening up. And there was one. I can't even remember what the issue was, because he made it up like there's this thing that I can't tell anyone, and whatever it was, he said, and I feel like this, and everyone said yes, him, and just carried on. And it was like this massive thing with him, and like everyone's, oh yeah, you know, it was like, and it's that you're not weird. It's that, you know, it's that thing. It's like you're human, and that we can all relate. There's someone somewhere that'll relate, you know, and once you find that, it's like, oh great, I can tell you everything now. Brilliant. It's like, well, hang on a minute.
It's weird. The less unique it feels, the easier it is to share, isn't it?
Of course, exactly.
I can remember us all being out there. Lads that I've worked with all my life and that, and this lad just stood in the Dickens bar, all sat on the table about 1 o'clock in the morning, someone stupid, everybody's tanked up and that. He just stood and he said, "My daughter's gay." All right, go.
Well done.
Obviously, bothering him that.
Yeah.
But he needed to tell everybody.
That's a great bloke thing, that, isn't it? You know, range of time, and you said, no, daughter's gay, right? Off to the Madison.
Are we celebrating? You're around?
But it's obviously been a
yeah, of course.
It's just over like that.
And it's very powerful, and it just to go. I mean, imagine the response when you don't get a response.
Yeah,
in your own brain, you're like, Like
Yeah.
almost like your brain would sit back and go like, what the hell just happened? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the awkwardness and then the shit. Like, is there a shame thing going in it? Like all these weird things that can happen.
Well,
But
hopefully you
actually, it's just
got that.
acceptance.
It's acceptance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all you
It's
need.
got a big thing,
Yeah.
And why would it be? Do you know what I mean as well?
And I think that sort of touches on it, doesn't it? I think what men do, because even though, like you say, I think we don't want to talk, but because we don't, we build that up.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
We
yeah,
build
yeah.
something
Yeah.
up to be so much bigger than what it
Yeah.
actually is.
Yep.
That situation exactly. My daughter's gay. He's obviously what the lad's going to think. And
Yeah.
things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And
yeah.
It's just got worse and worse.
I'm very privileged in the middle part of my career to be in a workplace health team called How Healthy is Your Business in the NHS. And that was when I ended up in there partly by accident. It was a lass who was in that team, who I still work with now, was going on maternity leave, and I think the boss saw a potential for me to go in there and do, like, we would go into workplaces, we'd assess and we'd sort of look at what the health needs were and so on, and we'd deliver like training and workshops and interventions on the base of it. So part of that was she dovetailed into that, the boss, about starting this men's health work, because I wanted to start focusing on men's health promotion basically. And that's how I started to get into it. So I'd go in, I'd start doing these men's health toolbox talks and mental health talks and so on. And they were workshops, so they're interactive. And if I had £1, honestly, for every bloke that had suddenly shared something with me that they'd never shared with anyone else, and I'd be like,
Yeah.
So there's loads of examples I can draw on, but one of the ones that I always think about is I was at a fire service within fire station within Middlesbrough, and I was doing a session with one of the watches there. So there was about, I think maybe 8 or 10 of them, and they're like little tight units, little families. And about halfway through the session, this guy who was sat at the back, who was massive, and he, like, all intents and purposes, he's quite mouthy and all that stuff. Probably about 17 stone, not picking on him, do you know what I mean? This guy was ripped, basically. And I'm telling you that because that was his position in the team, the strongest and the biggest on. And about halfway through the session, we started talking about some of this sort of stuff, relationship problems, like how we can mask it and so on. Turns out he'd been, I think I remember this rightly, for at least about a year, maybe a year and a half, he'd been going through a breakdown with his missus. He kept it completely quiet. They'd been massively struggling. They had suicidal thoughts, you name it. Well, the session pretty much stopped, and all attention turned towards him. It was supportive. And why didn't you tell us? I mean, and it was like, it was just all he got was loads of support.
Yeah.
From you guys, really.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But it was that same career thing, and it was through that and lots of other workshops. Like, I was like, how am I going to stand up in a group from 80 men from industry, talk to them about testicular cancer, about prostate cancer, about mental health? And I realised very, very early on that basically when I gave, for example, opportunities for them to, if they wanted to share or ask any questions, it just took one man to stand up in front of that other group of men, share something, and oh my God, they would fall like dominoes. I had to make the sessions longer, and you'll know this when you work with lads. That it's the same as everyone. Once they feel safe to do it, and that includes trust. Like even with your pals or whoever it is, actually, he's just said something really, and he hasn't had the piss taken out of him. He hasn't. There's no shame on him. Actually, if anything, they're putting him on a bit of a pedestal and saying, "Well done, lads." Do you know what I mean? Like, courageous, well done. And that's what we need more of. Do you know what I mean? Like, and we need. This is why, for me, the storytelling element, because the more we hear that and see that, the more it'll go. Actually, well, that's me.
Yeah.
Maybe I can do that. Yeah. And it's just that, because it's only that person that can do anything about it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So it really is, and I just think, like, whatever it is, whether it's volunteering, whether it's like the routines that give you connection, and give you purpose, stuff that a lot of people might not have explored, or like you said, and I think that's a really important point, going back to what you used to do, that you let go for whatever reason, because you had kids or whatever it could be. Go back to those things, woodworking, going out in walks in the moors, whatever it is. That's what we need to do more of.
I know you said that connection and purpose. I mean, that's in terms of volunteering. That's two things that volunteering, really offers people, isn't it? That meeting new people and doing something that people say, I want to make a difference. I want to feel like I'm doing something that matters. And volunteering, I think, is a brilliant way of that. And I know one of the things that I find it very touching, really, around mental health. Generally speaking, when you work with someone and they feel helped and supported, generally they want to then help and support other people, and want to give something back, help you, and it's really the sense of I don't know what the word is, but what people gain from is that,
That's
is that
I mean, that's exactly mine and Chris's
what you
goal.
give. It
Talking
just
to
comes
people,
back.
and it's not what can I give volunteering, what can volunteering give me?
Yeah.
What can I get from volunteering?
And it should be like that, shouldn't it?
Yeah, and like I said earlier, you've got to be selfish.
Yeah.
Everybody says to me, "Oh, you've done all the years with Samaritans. How do you do that?" Well, I feel a bit of a fraud because I get more from it than I actually give, and it makes me feel. I'm driving home at 2:00 in the morning. I'm thinking, I've supported someone tonight.
Yeah.
I almost have to sort of get like a sunroof because my head's that big to get in the car because you're that proud of yourself.
Yeah.
And you've made that difference, and that's managers' role with people, letting them see what they can gain that self-belief.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as Richie mentioned, like people getting older and that, you've got people that maybe retired, and all of a sudden they've had their self-worth.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden that's been taken away from them. The families have grown up, they've left their nest. You might see them on a Sunday for an hour, then they're sat in the house, but they've got so much transferable skills.
Yeah.
And they don't have to do volunteering to get back into work.
Oh no, exactly.
They do volunteering to gain their self-belief.
Absolutely.
Can I ask
Well
that?
said.
Is that something that, because again, when we talk about art, there's certain things that people say are frivolous or whatever, and that I know, when I jobs many years ago, but that was one of the selling points of volunteering, about helping you get into work. But actually, and it's all, and I think there's, when we talk about that, what I should do and what, almost like we'd have to justify things on the basis that they either make it makes us money or it will make us money at some point. And like doing something doing something because it helps people and that makes you feel good and them feel good. And I remember reading something, it's so true. It said, if you hear that when, if someone gives up a well-paying job to go and volunteer somewhere or to, take a big cut to do something that makes a difference, people think it's strange and weird and wow, that's it. But you don't think it's strange or weird that people would go spend 40 years doing something that they didn't like just so they could enjoy a few years after they retire.
Absolutely.
It's just weird. It's weird to me. But again, going right back to that speaking where we started from, I think that's one of the things that my personal struggles have given me is that you've been at that just horrendous place. It's like, well, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. I've got to do what's good for me because I don't ever want to feel like that ever again. And